Starting this review up hot, yes. It Takes Two is a masterpiece. It's a beautiful game and it delivers so much consistent fun. And it accomplishes exactly what it sets out to do. Bring gamers a cohesive and extremely fleshed out co-op adventure game experience. And for that, it gets a 10 out of 10 from me right off the bat. And you know, I don't give those off so lightly. They really do not make games like this anymore. It is just a pure, what I call a game, meaning that you just start it up and dive right in. No hassles with confusing systems, no best way to play. You just load it and you have fun with your buddy immediately. Listen to how much fun my pal and I are having.
You piece of shit.
So let's backtrack a little. If you're unfamiliar with what It Takes Two is, it is a co-op only adventure game. You gotta have a buddy to play it, no single player. But the great thing is, if you do have a friend willing to play with you, only one of you needs a copy to play. Wow. The friend that doesn't own it just has to download the Friends Pass version and the owner can invite them to play. That simple. And hold on to your chair for this one, please. It is only a $40 game. There's nothing stopping you from getting this right now. Nothing. Unless you have no friends. But I will say, be careful with who you play this game with, because you will forge an unbreakable bond and know each other so intimately that you will basically be one living being made up of your own two combined souls. So what makes this game good? A lot of things. So many things. The story is great. Gameplay, phenomenal. The level design, some of the best I've ever seen in my entire life, truly. So let's start with the story. The two main characters you're going to be playing as are May and Cody. And May and Cody do not get along anymore. They are actually in the middle of a divorce when this game starts. And they have a daughter named Rose. And Rose does not like this idea and she gets extremely sad, goes into their shack, finds a book of love written by Dr. Hakim and casts a spell that accidentally traps May and Cody in her dolls. And now they have to find a way to turn human, all while being harassed by the annoying but funny Dr. Hakim, who wants to help reignite their passion for each other. This game has some outstanding voice acting. The people that did May and Cody and Dr. Hakim, round of applause, because they really make you not like them at the beginning of this game. They are awful people. And they hate each other and they hate Dr. Hakim. But even though they're so awful, they come across as just insanely human. These are some really real characters and they have real problems. And it's not a story that gets resolved just from one moment. May and Cody gradually change as the story goes along, and it really makes it feel like such a grand and more realistic emotional journey. If you're not a cold-hearted fiend, you're definitely going to feel something in this game. You're definitely going to relate to Rose, May, and Cody in some way, and you're gonna feel what they're feeling. And just to give you an idea of what kind of journey these characters go on, at one point May and Cody just deliver this brutal ISIS-esque execution of this cute cuddly stuffed animal, and they just don't care. They just ruthlessly do it like the cold-blooded murderers they are. And this story is gonna take you a lot of places. There's this one part, without spoiling too much, where you help some squirrels fighting at some wasp in a war, and the main squirrel general is going to be giving you orders in an Australian accent. And then a different part of the story, you could be doing something simple like trying to climb your way to a lighthouse. Turning towards the gameplay, this game is mostly a platformer, so you're going to be running, jumping, slipping, sliding, and swinging around. But that's not everything. This game really does it all. I mean, at one point it turns into an ARPG and you're going to be fighting like it's Diablo, wizard and warrior style. There's also points where you're flying planes, driving boats, racing on sleds, controlling dinosaurs, riding spiders. I mean, there's a lot that they throw at you and it's all so enjoyable and really unique and stands out from the rest of the gameplay. Just for another example, I really like this moment in one of the levels where you just all of a sudden in a school classroom and you're doing these tests like math problems with your partner. You're trying to connect the dots and you have to do a memory game. It's just a lot of fun and keeps the gameplay fresh. And along with all these other gameplay elements, you're going to have unique mechanics for each level depending on your character. And these special mechanics always have a way for Mei and Cody to shine on their own, as well as work together to solve puzzles and platforming. A good example of these kind of mechanics is in the second level when Cody has a sap gun that can weigh objects down, and Mei has a matchstick sniper that can spin wheels, but when you combine them together they create explosions. This created a system where you had to work together to allow Cody to goop up enemies and obstacles and then call out for Mei to explode it. Another one of my favorite mechanics is when Mei and Cody have magnets with opposite poles so that they can push and pull objects, and they can even grapple to points, and you can even pull towards each other to clear large gaps. And these mechanics really enhance the platforming and allows you to figure out some pretty interesting puzzles. And I will say that if you're a seasoned gamer, this game is fairly easy, definitely a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. And there's no checkpoint resets for dying. You just materialize out of thin air back to where you died or fell off of. And honestly, this is really nice since the flow of gameplay really never stops. You die, you're just back where you were and you can keep going. Scattered throughout the levels though are bosses, and these are definitely a strong highlight of the game. They're grand in scale, they require teamwork and an understanding of that level's mechanics. And these bad boys are actually a challenge. We're not talking Dark Souls, but Moon Baboon will give you a run for your money. You're going to be fighting things like an old vacuum cleaner, a toolbox, a queen bee, etc. And most of these bosses even have multiple stages that they go through before you can deliver the final blow, and you're going to be doing a bunch of different challenges before they get taken down. If you feel like being a little competitive and beating your friend at something, there are mini games throughout these levels, and some of these include chess, slot car racing, bull riding, a lot of fun, but nothing that you're going to do probably more than once or twice. And I did play this game with my girlfriend for a few levels, and she definitely isn't a gamer, so it was hard for her in a few places, but overall it was pretty manageable, and she only cried about one time. So I would definitely say that if you have someone you want to play this game with that isn't a hardcore gamer, this game is a really good starting point since there's really no punishment for failing anything. It's also a decently long game. It took my friend and I about 11 hours to beat it, and we did take our sweet time. So if you and your buddy are a gaming machine, you could probably knock it out just a little bit faster. Now for the extraordinary, the level design. There are 7 chapters in this game. They each have their own themes and challenges, and since Mei and Cody are now tiny dolls, they still exist in our world, but everything is slightly different and more alive. The levels are centered around parts of Mei and Cody's home, but with a magic twist. They have a feeling of what a 5-year-old might imagine to make the world a more wondrous place. Not only are they gorgeous and have a bunch of sights to take in, but they also come across as comfy since everything is so large compared to your characters. Their designs are extremely functional and play into the platforming just insanely well. And this might come off as obvious or dumb, but it feels like the maps were constructed around the player mechanics and not the other way around, if that makes sense. And there's also a lot of areas that exist just for you to explore and see the magic that has changed certain places, like the Clockwork Town or Snow Globe Village. Each level just has its own flow, and you're really not going to see or do anything more than once. And this really plays into each chapter really having its own identity, not from just a visual perspective, but from a gameplay perspective as well. You're going to finish this game and you are going to remember every single level. Mark my words on that. If that's not true, just come back and dislike this video, I promise. And overall, my final verdict, like I said at the beginning of the video, is that this game is a must play. So grab your brother, sister, mom, grandma, dog, whoever you want to play it with, and get going. This is a truly just one of a kind game, and you will regret it for the rest of your life if you do not give yourself the privilege of playing it. If you liked the video, like and subscribe for me. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching.